Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us and welcome to this special Sky presentation of the 1999 Run for the Roses, the world-famous Kentucky Derby, coming to you live from the famous Churchill Downs racetrack in Louisville, Kentucky. Years ago, there was a famous Kentuckian by the name of Irving S. Cobb, and I'm going to give you his quote just before we cross to Churchill Downs, complete with grammatical deficiencies. Irving S. Cobb said, "Until you go to Kentucky and with your own eyes behold the Derby, you ain't been nowhere and you ain't seen nothing." And I'm sure that 151,000 people who are at Churchill Downs today are going to agree with those legendary words by Irving S. Cobb. Now, we've got pictures coming through from Churchill Downs. We're having a few audio difficulties at the moment, so if you'll just bear with us, we'll cross to Churchill Downs very shortly. Churchill Downs actually was opened on the occasion the first Kentucky Derby was run in the year of 1875. And according to the old-timers, not much has changed really at Churchill Downs. It's by no means a state-of-the-art racecourse. It doesn't boast any modern or trendy buildings. In fact, the old grandstand still boasts the famous twin spires, and those spires seem to be the thing that capture the imagination of overseas visitors to the Kentucky Derby. In fact, it has been said that to look at the twin spires at Churchill Downs for the first time is something akin to looking at the Eiffel Tower or the Tower of Pisa for the first time. They appear to have magnificent weather for the running of this year's Kentucky Derby. I believe there are 19 starters. We have to check the scratching. There was a report overnight that a horse called Algebra wouldn't be running. And this is a most important derby for one of America's most famous trainers, Bob Baffert, who has prepared the winners of the last two. He was successful with Silver Charm in 1997 and last year with Real Quiet, and back in 1996 his runner Cavonniere was beaten a nose by Grindstone. So at this moment Bob Baffert went within a nose of having 3 consecutive Derby winners. If he can achieve the feat this year with one of his 3 starters, he'll become the first trainer, owner or jockey in history to win 3 consecutive Kentucky Derby. So it's a very special day and a very tense day, I'd imagine, for the famous trainer Bob Baffert. Now, his 3 runners this year are a filly by the name of Excellent Meeting, to be ridden by Kent Desormeaux, Prime Timber and General Challenge. Prime Timber and General Challenge are both colts. All 3 come into the Derby with excellent credentials. Excellent Meeting is attempting to become the 4th filly in history to win this famous race. The first of them was in 1915, a filly by the name of Regret. We didn't see another one till 1980, and then the 3rd filly was Winning Colours in 1988. So, mind you, not too many fillies go around in the Derby, and I think the last one to run was back in about 1995. I can't think of her name, but I know she finished a long way back. So the long history and distinguished history of the Kentucky Derby makes interesting reading for horse buffs all over the world. The first winner in 1875 was a horse called Aristides, and there were 10,000 people at the inaugural Kentucky Derby. As I mentioned a moment or two back, this year's crowd is 151,000, still well short of the all-time record of 163,000. You know, only one horse in history has ever broken the magical 2-minute barrier, and that was the Great Secretariat in 1973, when he just shaved the 2 minutes, recording 1:59.4. Prior to him, the legendary Northern Dancer registered exactly 2 minutes in winning his Derby. Equal favourite overnight was the Bob Baffert trained filly Excellent Meeting, and she'll be ridden by Kent Desormeaux, who's won a couple of derbies, and her 2 stablemates, as I mentioned, Prime Timber and General Challenge, are both very strongly in the market. Now, Prime Timber was the subject of an offer of $6 million late last year from some of the Arab sheiks. That offer was knocked back, and Prime Timber will run in the colours of his original owner. But Worldly Manor was subject to a $5 million sale late last year when Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum searched the United States and Great Britain for a horse that he felt might be the likely winner of this year's Kentucky Derby. He sent a bloodstock agent to the United States, approached the owners of Worldly Manor. The owner didn't want to sell. He said, I'll just put a ridiculous figure on this horse because I really don't want to sell. He said, I want $5 million for him. And the bloodstock agent said, done. The agent was representing Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum of Dubai. Worldly Manor was taken straight to Dubai where he was spelled. He hasn't run as a 3-year-old. He's been subjected to a long and arduous preparatory campaign in Dubai, including a special barrier trial on the 21st of March, which he won. And he's coming into this derby without having raced at all as a 3-year-old. The $5 million colt, Worldly Manor, representing Sheikh Mohammed, who is having his first runner ever in the Kentucky Derby. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have now been able to make contact audio-wise with Churchill Downs, and it's my great pleasure now on behalf of Sky Racing to take you live to Kentucky for this year's Run for the Roses.
The paddock here. You know, if you're hoping to wait till the last second to pick one out of the group going around here, it's going to be tough to do.
Let's handicap the race. Who do you like?
Well, you know, it's such an interesting tactical race because I think so many horses have the same running style. I think about 10 horses in here want to lay 4th in this race.
Yeah, I think
it's going to be
too.
tough. Somebody's going to have to probably run out of their normal running style and get it done. I like Vicar in here. I love horses that train well over this track in the days leading up to the race. That's kind of a lesson I've learned over the years there to watch who's really doing well. This horse has done exceptionally well. I don't think anybody's done better than this horse in the 3 weeks since the Bluegrass Stakes. And his last work was just a sparkler. Carl Nasker, I think, feels he's got this horse absolutely where he wants him, and he'll get what he's got, whatever that is. We'll see if it's good enough to get it done. He does have an outside post to contend with, but he was going to take this horse back anyway. Vickers, the plan was to be 7 or 8 lengths back, which is a little out of the style he's shown this year. I believe he's versatile enough to handle that. Cat Thief, I think, is a huge, huge contender in here. He's done very well. In the paddock here a couple of days ago, he just looked spectacular. Looked as good as any horse I've seen in the paddock over the last couple of weeks as they schooled here. He is trained early in the morning for Wayne Lucas, so we haven't seen much of him, but I think he's a big player. Stephen Got Even has gone well here. I think he's a big player. Baffert, of course, Bob Baffert going for his 3rd win in history. I think Prime Timber is the best of his horses. For a long shot, I think Kimberlite Pipe is trained extremely well here. And I'm going to give a little look to Answer Lively and First American. Answer Lively for Bobby Barnett, who has shown over these last 2 days that people who throw out horses trained by Bobby Barnett do not like money.
Yeah, no, that's tough to do. And I definitely think Vicar is the horse to beat. I'm like you. I think this horse is trained superbly. Stephen Got Even, though, caught my eye in the GalleryFurniture.com stakes. I was so impressed with this son of AP Indy.
Yeah.
He came flying down the stretch. He's lightly raced, but he is a colt with so much potential, and I think he's really going to move forward today. I think he's going to like the 1.25 miles. I really do.
He will too.
And Nicky Zito, people are worried about that 5-week layoff. I said if Nicky Z's not worried about the 5-week layoff, then neither am I. And there's a shot right now of Stephen Got Even.
Well composed.
He's so composed and looks very well. I think Vicar is the horse to beat. I think Stephen Got Even, though, is peaking at the right time. I'm going to take him on top. I, like you, think there are a couple of other horses you almost have to use. Of course, Cat Thief is almost a must in your gimmicks. I think that First American could run a big race, and I also think that Menifee could run well. The Baffert horses, they're right now, any one of them could run well with Bobby Baffert training, but, you know, I just think it's going to be asking a lot. And Donna Barton is on hand here. Donna was watching these horses come over. Donna, you got to see these horses walking over from the stable over to the paddock here this afternoon. And who caught your eye?
Well, I'll tell you who caught my eye. Stephen Got Even.
Oh, yeah?
I noticed him from, I guess I was probably a 1/4 of a mile away. I noticed him, and Cat Thief caught my eye, but only because he was jumping around. But that's a typical Cat Thief thing to do. But also probably because Cat Thief and Stephen Got Even have been my picks all along. But I did watch them all walk over, and I really wanted to be able to come over here and tell the people on the handicapping show to throw this horse out or throw that out because they were losing their composure.
Right.
Nobody's lost their composure.
Do it. No, it's unbelievable how these horses are so composed in here.
Exactly.
And you just heard a big roar from the crowd, and it didn't seem to bother any of the horses here in the paddock.
They saddled General Challenge on the walk. That's a typical thing to do with General Challenge, and he handled that beautifully. He would have been the one horse I thought might lose it a little bit. He's been great. And Answer Lively's a little hot in the paddock today, but when Answer Lively ran in Louisiana, he was hot in the paddock. Ran second, got beat a nose to Acton Park. I don't think any of them are acting out of the ordinary.
All right, John gave his pick. He's going for Vicker. I'm going for Stephen Got Even. And Donna takes?
Cat Thief.
Cat Thief. You like the way he looks, and you still have that attachment to the Wayne Lucas barn, and you still want them to do well.
Well, you know, he's tried and true. I know Wayne Lucas knows how to win the Kentucky Derby.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so just moments away here from Derby 125. Just an excellent field, a fast track, and a beautiful day. Who could ask for anything more? Good luck.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. As George Gershwin might have said, who could ask for anything more? Was that one of George's? I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. I'm very interested in the information regarding the shoes being worn here by some of the horses. You'll notice on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Horses 1A, 4 and 13 with bends behind. I can only assume that they're similar types of shoes to those worn by trotting horses with little trailers that extend out on the outside of the hind shoes. Numbers 3 and 5, mud corks in front, which would be a traction device. It doesn't appear to be any mud at Churchill Downs today, so I don't know why they'd need the mud corks. And number 12 horse wearing blocks behind, which would be little wedges, I'd imagine, that fit underneath the hind shoes to raise the horse a little off the ground. That horse in question, number 12, obviously touches his bumpers on the track when he's in full flight. So they're extracting every possible ounce out of these animals for a $1 million purse. And these 3-year-olds look fairly relaxed, the ones we've seen so far. In fact, some of them are quite nonchalant about the whole thing. Little do they realise that they're about to step onto the track for the running of one of the world's most famous horse races, and an event described as the oldest continuously run major sporting event in the United States of America. First run in 1875 when Aristides was the winner before 10,000 people. Today's crowd, 151,000 in what appears to be brilliant sunshine in Kentucky, and the saddling paddock absolutely jam-packed with owners, trainers and people connected with the horses. And now we're starting to see some of the jockeys as they move out into the sunshine to receive their last-minute riding instructions. Kent Desormeaux is the rider of Excellent Meeting. Kent already has 2 Kentucky Derby winners to his credit. Chris McCarron is riding Stephen Got Even. That horse might have been just a little stirred up in the parade, according to one of our commentators. Chris McCarron also has posted 2 Derby winners, and he must be bordering on the veteran class now. He seems to have been around for a long, long time. I think one of his winners might have been a horse called Ali Sheba some years back. Corey Nakatani rides number 7 Desert Hero. Alex Solie is on number 10 K1 King. Jerry Bailey, one of America's most famous jockeys and the man best remembered as the rider of Cigar, is on Sheikh Mohammed's Worldly Manor. Now, I'm told that Jerry Bailey, who is very much in demand in these big races in the States, was guaranteed an upfront payment of $70,000 to ride this horse, win, lose or draw. You're listening, Shane Dye and Damien Oliver? David Flores rides Prime Timber, one of 3 runners prepared by Bob Baffert. Gary Stevens, one of the most experienced riders in the race, is on board another Bob Baffert horse in General Challenge. Eddie Delahousse rides number 16 First American, and Pat Day, who's been around for a long, long time, is on number 19 Menifee, a winner of the Bluegrass Stakes, one of the traditional lead-up races for this derby. Interesting run-up is Valhall, who won the Arkansas Derby. Now, in an unprecedented situation, the Arkansas Racing Commission withheld the prize money because the rider of Valhall in the Arkansas Derby was subjected to a steward's probe when it was thought he might have been carrying an electrical device. Now, the owner of Valhall took the Arkansas Racing Commission to court because according to the rules, the only way the prize money could be withheld was if the winner happened to return a positive swab. And he won that case on the fine print, and the money had to be paid to the owner of Valhalla, and the horse needed the money to qualify to get a run in the Kentucky Derby. So Valhalla is in the race under sensational circumstances. Valhalla is trained by Dallas Keene and is ridden by Willie Martinez. But he's in the field courtesy of a judge in Little Rock, Arkansas. The $1 million Kentucky Derby. Not too far away now, riders are up and the horses are about to come onto the track. In just a few moments, one of the most moving things that happens anywhere in the world in thoroughbred racing will take place when the entire crowd of 151,000 will be invited to stand and sing My Old Kentucky Home. And I'm told that that brings a tear to the eye of the most hardened racegoer. Now, I think we're ready to take you back to Churchill Downs.
The band is directed by Dr. Fred Speck.
Okay, again, stand by.
On the track for the 125th running of the Kentucky Derby, post time in 10 minutes.
Okay, we've just lost audio again from Churchill Downs as these runners parade rather slowly up the home straights to the starting point for the $1 million Derby. Now, the Churchill Downs track is exactly 1 mile in circumference. The Derby starts at the top of the home straight. They have a run of exactly 2 furlongs, or approximately 400 metres to the winning post, and then 1 complete circuit of the track. Horses in all races on all tracks in the United States are escorted to the starting point by an outrider, another horseman mounted on a hack of any description. Quite often you'll see a painted horse used by the outriders, but I can remember the first time I ever called racing in America was at Hollywood Park in 1990, and in trying to learn my colours as the horses went to the barrier, I found that the presence of the outrider was quite a distraction because the jockey's colours tended to get lost with the coloured shirts or jackets being worn by the outrider, and it just looks to be an almighty clutter of horses and riders on the track. And it was quite a relief when they finally got to the barrier that the outriders moved away and you could get a clear shot at the racing colours. So here we have 19 runners in the Kentucky Derby, each accompanied by an outrider. So 38 horses are in the parade here up to the starting point for the Derby at the top of the home straight. Stephen Got Even is trained by Nick Zito. Now, Nick Zito is another two-time winner of the Derby. And he has Stephen Got Even in this year's race, and I'm almost certain he has a second runner. Yes, he does. Number 1, Adonis, ridden by Jorge Chavez. 36 fillies have run in the Derby since 1875. As I mentioned earlier, only 3 of them have won. Regrets, Genuine Risk and Winning Colours. And the last filly to contest the event was Serena's Song in 1995, and she finished officially 16th. The fillies this year include Excellent Meeting and 3 Ring. Only 3 trainers have won the Kentucky Derby 3 times, and they include D. Wayne Lukas. And Lukas just this week was inducted into the American Racing Hall of Fame. Max Hirsch is a 3-time winner of the Derby, and so is the legendary Sonny Jim Fitzsimmons. However, no trainer has been able to win 3 consecutive Kentucky Derbies, and that's what Bob Baffert is attempting to do today, having won it last year with Real Quiet and the year before with Silver Charm, and in 1996 his runner Cabonniere was beaten only a nose by Grindstone. I believe the all-time training record for the Kentucky Derby belongs to a man called Ben Jones, who prepared no less than 6 winners of the famous race. D. Wayne Lukas has had at least 1 runner in this race every year since 1981. So nobody knows more about the Derby than D. Wayne Lukas, America's latest entrance in the Hall of Fame. Now, D. Wayne Lukas this year has 2 runners, Cat Thief, ridden by Mike Smith, and Charismatic, with Chris Antley on board. Quoted in overnight markets, Charismatic at about 20 to 1, and Cat Thief around about 8 to 1. Well, they're really taking their time getting up to the starting point, but I heard the on-track commentator mentioned a short time ago that when they stepped onto the track it was still 10 minutes short of post time, so I guess we're still looking at 5 or 6 minutes before they get underway in this year's Run for the Roses. Did you notice the famous Churchill Downs twin spires when we had that long shot of the crowd just as they moved onto the track? And the twin spires have become quite a landmark. Yeah, 5 minutes to the running of the Kentucky Derby, so they're getting up close to the starting point now. They load them very quickly. They literally spill into the gates. They don't waste any time at all. And look at the people gathered up near the starting point. Just a few of the 151,000 strong crowd in attendance in brilliant sunshine. Interesting to see how Val Hole goes in the race. This is the horse that gained a start courtesy of the Little Rock Judge in Arkansas, following his win in the Arkansas Derby when the rider was charged with having carried an electrical device, and they withheld the prize money, or attempted to do so, but that was overturned in courts. I think the money was $300,000 first prize, and he needed all of that to gain entry into the Kentucky Derby because the ballot is conducted on prize money alone. You can imagine the pre-race nerves and the butterflies being suffered by some of these jockeys. Now, Sheikh Mohammed is represented by Worldly Manor, ridden by Jerry Bailey, trained by former Dubai policeman Saeed bin Suror, and I believe he's not in attendance today at Churchill Downs because the famous 2000 Guineas meeting was conducted yesterday in England, and Saeed bin Saror was required there to saddle up some of the Sheikh's runners. And I think his third string trainer actually has been looking after the horse at Churchill Downs, where Worldly Manor has been stabled in barn 45. And from all reports, apart from his caretaker trainer, there's been very little interest in the way of visitors and what have you around the stall occupied by the Sheikh's runner, Worldly Manor. The horse that cost the Sheikh $5 million late last year after having won the Del Mar Futurity, and the Sheikh virtually searched the world for a horse that he could buy that might give him his first Kentucky Derby winner. He's won all of the other classics, the English Derby, the Arc de Triomphe, the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth at Royal Ascot, but this is the race he wants to win very dearly. This will be his first runner, Worldly Manor, with Jerry Bailey up. I think we just heard well, there it is, a 2-minute call to post. A 2-minute post call. Now the number 16 saddlecloth carried by First American, ridden by Eddie Delahousse, a veteran of many Derby rides. So he knows his way around the 1.25 mile course here at Churchill Downs. As you know, in American racing, they come out of the gate running and they go amazing sections. You'll see the sectional times flashing onto the screen, and you'll be staggered at the pace at which they carve out the first half mile of the race. They just don't seem to relax for a second. They're running all the way, and it takes a great 3-year-old to win this race. A pressure race, if ever there was one. And this is the 125th running of the Kentucky Derby. Well, there they are, still complete with outriders, 38 horses milling around. It looks like a Sioux war party as they come up towards the starting point. There are many lead-up races to the Kentucky Derby. These horses have been all over the place, all over the country. Bob Baffert, incidentally, trains his horses in California, and I don't think there's been a Californian winner of this race since 1962. In fact, a lot of punters shy away from the Californian horses because their strike rate hasn't been all that impressive over the years. But Bob Baffert believes his horses don't know they're trained in California, and that's the important thing. Now I can hear some sort of audio starting to filter through again from Churchill Downs. Amazingly, the course commentator at this particular track resigned suddenly just a few months ago, and the Churchill Downs Club had to call for tenders from race callers all over America to fill his position. Eventually, there was a short list of 3 callers. One of them was Australian Michael Rona, the young man that accompanied me to America 9 years ago, and he's been there ever since. Michael was on a short list of 3. He missed out on the job. It went to the man who'd previously been at Hollywood Park in California. That job became vacant, and amazingly, Michael Rona was able to slip back into the chair at Hollywood Park, and he recently signed a contract as the new track announcer.